Two friends, Milo and Dany, accidentally get lost in the infinite multiverse. They travel through countless universes, each wildly different from their own. Some are incredibly advanced in technology and science, while others are stuck in the past, living without electricity. In one universe, World War III has already occurred. As they face the dangers and wonders of these alternate realities, the big question remains, will they find their way back home? The story begins with Milo attending Dany's wedding. The two have been best friends since childhood, but Milo isn't Dany's best man because Dany's fiancée, Kate, doesn't like him. Dany explains to Milo that Kate felt Milo had been drinking too much lately, so she didn't want him in the role. Feeling disappointed, Milo steps out onto the terrace to clear his head, and Dany soon follows. While talking, they notice a drunk man stumbling down the stairs outside the bar and falling because one of the steps is broken. The two burst out laughing. They've seen this happen before because they know about the broken step, but no one else does, making it their little inside joke. Milo reminds Dany how they've been best friends for years, but is hurt that Dany listened to his wife and didn't make him the best man. Dany reassures Milo that their friendship still matters, but he admits that Milo's drinking, lack of focus on his career, and constant partying have been a problem. Dany explains that Kate insisted he keep some distance from Milo, and he reluctantly agreed. Angry and hurt, Milo leaves the party early, ignoring Dany's attempts to stop him. Deep down, Dany knows Milo only came to share his feelings and wasn't planning to stay. Milo returns home in a worse state, taking more drugs to numb his emotions. His home is quiet and empty, as he has been living alone since his grandmother passed away 7 years ago, a loss that pushed him deeper into substance abuse. Sitting on the sofa, preparing to drink himself into oblivion, Milo is startled when a portal suddenly opens in front of him. A man steps through the portal, and it's Dany, but he looks strangely different. Panicking, Milo assumes he's hallucinating from drinking too much. The alternate Dany, visibly shaken, urgently warns Milo that his life is in danger. He explains that he comes from another universe in the multiverse, where there are countless parallel versions of Milo and Dany. Each version is different, but they are all connected in some way. Milo struggles to understand, still thinking it's a drunken hallucination, but alternate Dany insists he listen carefully. Before Milo can process what's happening, another man steps through the portal, attacking alternate Dany with a sword. Milo, terrified, runs upstairs, trying to make sense of how Dany has changed and why someone is trying to kill them. The attacker corners Milo, claiming that he kills every version of Milo in every universe, and he's about to do the same here. Just as the sword is about to strike, alternate Dany, wounded but determined, manages to kill the attacker and save Milo. Bleeding and clutching a glowing device on his hand, alternate Dany explains to Milo that they need to leave this universe. The device will help them travel to other universes, where they must save other versions of themselves. The attacker was part of a group determined to hunt down and kill every version of Milo and Dany in the multiverse. Alternate Dany warns Milo that their survival depends on escaping now. Before Milo can ask more questions, another portal opens, and alternate Dany steps through it, vanishing without further explanation. Stunned and terrified, Milo calls his friend Dany, the real Dany, who is still at his wedding with Kate. Milo begs him to come over immediately, saying he can't explain everything over the phone. Dany, feeling guilty for how things ended earlier, tells Kate he needs to check on Milo one last time and rushes to his house. Milo, shaken and upset, quickly tells Dany everything that happened, how he encountered another version of Dany who saved him from being killed. To prove his story, Milo shows Dany the body of the man who tried to attack him, lying lifeless in his house. Dany, horrified, assumes Milo must have killed the man in a drunken stupor. Milo insists that he didn't do it and explains the bits he remembers about the multiverse, mentioning the glowing device on the attacker's wrist. He speculates that the device might have been how the other Dany disappeared. Dany, overwhelmed and scared, decides he wants nothing to do with the situation. He starts to leave, but Milo grabs him, pleading for him to stay and help figure things out. In the struggle, Milo accidentally presses a button on the device while holding Dany. Suddenly, with a sharp jolt, they both find themselves back at Milo's house, but something feels off. Dany, frustrated and angry, declares he's done with this madness and heads home to his wife, Kate. However, when he arrives at his house, something strange happens. Kate isn't waiting for him as his wife. Instead, she's engaged to someone else. Confused and unnerved, Dany begins to realize that something is terribly wrong. Meanwhile, back at Milo's house, he notices changes as well. The furniture is different, the walls are painted a different color, and everything feels slightly unfamiliar. Then he hears a noise in the kitchen. Fearing another attack, Milo cautiously investigates, only to find his grandmother alive and cooking, a woman who, in his original universe, had died 7 years ago. Shocked and overwhelmed, Milo pieces together that they've somehow shifted into a parallel universe, one where his grandmother never died and Dany's wife Kate is engaged to someone else. Dany, now panicking, runs back to Milo's house, realizing the truth of what happened. Milo shows him the living, breathing proof of his grandmother in the kitchen. They both conclude that when Milo activated the device, they accidentally transported into a parallel universe. They figure the device is the only way to return to their original world. Frantic, Dany grabs the device, determined to fix things, but Milo tries to stop him, fearing they'll make things worse. In the scuffle, Dany accidentally activates the device again. To their horror, the dead attacker's body vanishes into the multiverse, leaving them stranded in this alternate reality. After arguing, the two friends realize the gravity of their mistake. Without the device, they have no way to navigate the multiverse or return home. Milo reminds Dany that the alternate version of himself had warned them about a man killing their versions across every universe. This means there must be another version of Dany in this universe, and someone will likely come to kill him too. Milo suggests they find this universe's Dany, protect him, and use the killer's device to get back to their own universe. Borrowing Milo's grandmother's car, they locate this universe's Dany outside a private company. Milo plans to warn him to call if someone tries to attack him, but Dany, still furious at Milo for getting them stuck in this mess, argues with him. While they're distracted, the killer strikes again, murdering this universe's Dany and escaping before they can react. Both realize their carelessness allowed the killer to escape. As they process what happened, they decide to hide the body of this universe's Dany to avoid suspicion. Milo then realizes the killer will likely target this universe's version of himself next. They hurry to find him and track him down to a church. Inside, the real Milo meets his alternate self, a version vastly different from him. This universe's Milo is calm, religious, and kind, a stark contrast to the real Milo, who struggles with substance abuse. The real Milo pieces together. Why? In this universe, his grandmother survived the accident 7 years ago, leading this Milo to turn to religion. In the real Milo's world, her death left him alone and spiraling into addiction. After returning home, Milo takes a moment to hug this universe's version of his grandmother, knowing that once he returns to his own universe, he may never see her again. With no time to waste, Milo, Dany, and this universe's Milo come up with a plan to catch the killer and take his device. They decide to lure him to the same bar where Dany's wedding took place. Milo doesn't tell this universe's version of himself that Dany's body is hidden in the car trunk, wanting to avoid panic. At the bar, as they head inside, the car trunk accidentally opens, revealing the body. A passerby notices it and calls the police. Meanwhile, outside the bar, the killer appears again, targeting Milo. The three of them rush out, hoping to trap the killer. Remembering that the stairs at the bar are broken in both universes, they lead him to the staircase. Just as they hoped, the killer slips on the broken step and falls, knocking himself unconscious. Relieved, Milo and Dany quickly remove the device from his wrist. Before they can celebrate, the passerby who saw Dany's body confronts them, shocked to see two Danys. As confusion grows, the killer regains consciousness and prepares to attack. Suddenly, a portal opens, and a woman steps through, killing the killer just in time. Milo and Dany are shocked to see that the woman is Kate, but not the Kate from their universe. She explains that she's from the universe of the Dany who initially saved Milo at the beginning of the story. Kate reveals that the killer is part of a group targeting every version of Milo and Dany across the multiverse. Her Dany and Milo have been fighting to stop them, but the best thing for this Milo and Dany to do is return to their universe and stay hidden. After giving her warning, Kate disappears through another portal. Determined to return home, Milo and Dany hold hands and press the button on the device. They begin shifting through universes again and finally stop in one that looks similar to their own. They take a taxi to Milo's house to confirm if they've returned, only to find it transformed into a museum. Confused, they discover that in this universe, Milo was a world-famous superstar singer, but tragically took his own life. Inside the museum, they read about this universe's Milo. As a child, he was given two choices by his grandmother, a guitar or a toy. This Milo chose the guitar, setting him on the path to fame. Real Milo becomes furious after learning that his life could have been entirely different if he had chosen the guitar instead of the toy. Dany, however, reminds him not to be too upset, pointing out that this universe's Milo might have been a superstar, but ultimately took his own life. As they decide to leave, reporters swarm around Milo, mistaking him for the superstar who had supposedly faked his death. Milo, reveling in the attention, plays along and basks in the spotlight. Amid the chaos, Dany spots this universe's version of himself in the crowd, excitedly trying to get an autograph from Milo. Things get even stranger stranger when Kate from this universe, who turns out to be Milo's manager and girlfriend, steps in to whisk him away. Shocked, Dany urges Milo to use the device to leave this universe immediately, but Milo discovers it's missing. It must have been lost in the crowd. Desperate, they head back to search and spot a girl with the device. But before they can reach her, she accidentally presses the button and disappears into another universe. Dany, furious at Milo's carelessness, scolds him for losing the device. Meanwhile, Kate, confused but relieved to see Milo alive, passionately kisses him. Milo explains that he faked his death to escape the spotlight for a while, claiming he's ready to return now. Dany is disgusted by the kiss, but Milo reminds him that this Kate isn't his wife. It's a completely different Kate who is in a relationship with Milo in this universe. They head to a 5-star hotel where Milo asks Kate for a laptop to research his alternate self. The next morning, they notice a poster of the same man whose versions have been trying to kill them across the multiverse. Milo decides they need to investigate him in this universe to uncover why the other versions are hunting them. However, Kate informs Milo he has a major press conference scheduled, trapping him in his celebrity persona. Dany reluctantly agrees to investigate alone. Dany discovers that in this universe, the man, named Steven, is the head of a private science company called Goldmire. Steven is conducting research on dark metal, a mysterious substance. While observing Steven from a distance, Dany is surprised when Steven approaches him and casually asks for a lighter. Steven introduces himself, seeming harmless and friendly, but Dany senses there's more to him. Dany realizes this version of Steven might not be trying to kill them, but learning more about him could provide vital clues about why his other versions are targeting Milo and Dany across the multiverse. Dany lies to Steven, pretending to be interested in his research. Steven, a physics expert, reveals his groundbreaking discovery. While studying dark matter, he found evidence of the multiverse and developed a way to travel between parallel universes using dark matter. Dany quickly realizes they could use Steven's knowledge to create a device to return to their real universe. As they talk, the killer version of Steven, the one hunting Milo and Dany across the multiverse, appears. In a chaotic moment, he accidentally kills the Steven of this universe with his sword. Stunned, the killer collapses, and Dany seizes the sword, demanding answers. The killer Steven confesses that Milo and Dany's existence is destabilizing the multiverse. He claims their actions have already destroyed his universe and pushed many others to the brink of collapse, leaving him no choice but to eliminate every version of them to save what remains. Dany, shocked, insists that neither he nor Milo has done anything to harm the multiverse. Taking the killer's device, Dany rushes back to Milo to share what he's learned. Meanwhile, Milo, during his press conference, is attacked again, but narrowly escapes, returning to his hotel with Kate. When Dany arrives, he finds Milo in bed with Kate, leading to a heated argument. Milo defends himself, pointing out that Kate in this universe is not the same as Dany's wife, but Dany storms out angrily. Outside, Dany is arrested, accused of attacking the superstar Milo earlier. The real Dany realizes the culprit is his alternate self in this universe, who had been trying to kill Milo to boost his music's posthumous fame. At the police station, Dany is confused about how to prove his innocence until the father of this universe's Dany, who is a lawyer, arrives and gets him released. Back at the hotel, the alternate Dany breaks in, killing Milo's guards and attempting to assassinate him again. The real Dany arrives just in time and fights his alternate self. During the struggle, the alternate Dany is fatally shot. Dany explains everything to Milo, revealing that the killer's name is Steven and that another version of Steven had shown him a way to escape the multiverse. He insists they must leave this universe immediately. Otherwise, the police will arrest Dany under suspicion of being his alternate self. However, Milo hesitates. He's tempted to stay because, in this universe, he has everything he's ever wanted: fame, wealth, and even Kate, who genuinely cares for him. Moreover, his version in this universe is dead, making it easy for him to take over his life. Dany firmly reminds Milo that this isn't their reality. Staying here could cause unforeseen problems. He convinces Milo that it's better to return to their real lives, no matter how imperfect. Milo reluctantly agrees, and they tell Kate that Milo wants to disappear again for a while to be alone. With that excuse, the two prepare to leave. Using the multiverse traveling device, they jump to the next universe, but it's immediately clear they're still not back in their real world. This new universe is eerily different. Signs about the end of the world are everywhere, and the streets are completely deserted. Hoping to find answers, they head to Milo's house, only to discover that Steven has already been here. Peering Peering through the windows, they see their alternate versions lying dead inside. Steven had killed them before they arrived. As they decide their next move, they're startled when Kate and a man named Paul show up. In this universe, Kate is neither with Dany nor Milo, but with Paul instead. To avoid suspicion, Dany strikes up a conversation with Kate and Paul to keep them outside, while Milo sneaks inside to deal with the bodies. He drags the corpses to the backyard and buries them. During the conversation, Dany is shocked to learn that in this universe, all drugs are legal, a measure taken to keep people calm amidst global chaos. Before he can process this, a loud siren blares across the sky. Kate pulls Dany along, explaining that the siren signals a potential nuclear attack, and everyone must head to underground bunkers immediately. Confused but compliant, Dany follows her as people flood the streets, moving towards safety. Meanwhile, Milo, unaware of the situation, remains inside the house, oblivious to the chaos outside. Dany eventually learns that this universe is in the middle of World War III, and these sirens are part of their system to warn citizens of potential nuclear strikes. After some time, it's announced that the signal was a false alarm, and people are allowed to return home. Dany reunites with Milo, and the two agree they need to leave this universe quickly. However, with no device and no clear plan, they decide their best option is to head to Steven's lab. They hope they can find something there to help them escape and continue their journey through the multiverse in search of their real home. Milo and Dany discover that Steven's lab in this universe is heavily guarded by soldiers. The lab has been converted into a luxurious bunker for the wealthy, who paid exorbitant amounts for safety during the ongoing World War. With no way to access the lab directly, the two resign themselves to blending into this universe while planning their next move. Milo begins investigating his alternate self and learns that this version of him spends most of his time drunk, even in the midst of a global catastrophe. Recognizing they're running out of time, Milo and Dany resolve to find a way into Steven's lab, believing it's their only shot at escaping this doomed universe. On TV, a grim announcement warns of an impending nuclear attack, forcing everyone to seek refuge in bunkers. Meanwhile, in a ravaged version of Earth, the alternate Dany and Kate, who had saved Milo's life earlier, are shown on the run. They're desperate to find Milo and Dany, convinced they are the key to saving the multiverse. As they plot their next move, they are ambushed by multiple versions of Steven, who attempt to capture and kill them. Using their multiverse devices, they barely manage to escape, leaving the mystery of why Steven is targeting Milo and Dany unresolved. Back in the World War universe, the real Milo and Dany discovered that their alternate versions had already secured passes to the elite bunker. Surprisingly, Kate of this universe was also listed on the pass, so they convince her to join them. At the entrance, they witness a desperate crowd of commoners trying to force their way in, furious that the rich are allowed safety while they are left to die. The soldiers hold the crowd back, allowing Milo, Dany, and Kate inside. Once in the bunker, they feel a temporary sense of relief, grateful to escape the looming nuclear attack. Their relief is short-lived. The angry mob outside eventually breaks through the barricades and storms the bunker, attacking the wealthy residents in a fit of rage. Chaos erupts as the mob targets Milo, seeing him as one of the privileged. Just as the situation turns dire, alternate Dany and Milo appear, fighting off the attackers and saving him. They reveal they've come to send Milo and Dany back to their real universe using their device. However, complications arise. The real Dany refuses to leave without Kate, who is locked in another part of the bunker. While trying to save her, Dany sees the mob closing in and is forced to flee. Meanwhile, alternate Dany insists Milo must leave immediately and promises to send Dany after him. Milo protests, unwilling to abandon his friend, but they forcibly throw him through a portal to save him. To Milo's horror, he doesn't return to his real universe, but instead lands in a post-apocalyptic world where society has crumbled. The people in this universe live in ruins, relying on swords and scavenging for food. Confused and disoriented, Milo can't understand why the alternate version sent him here instead of home. Before he can gather his thoughts, Milo is captured by soldiers. He learns that in this universe, everyone is hunting for versions of Milo and Dany, believing they are the cause of their world's destruction. Milo, now a prisoner, is left grappling with the revelation that his presence in the multiverse might be far more destructive than he ever imagined. Milo, locked in jail and starving for weeks, tries to explain to his captors that he's not their Milo, but a version from another universe. However, they refuse to believe him. They claim they will execute both him and Dany as soon as they find him. After enduring severe hunger and isolation, Milo is visited by this universe's version of his grandmother. She coldly suggests that Milo save himself by blaming Dany for everything. Desperate and confused, Milo has no idea why he's being punished or what the people believe he's done. After a month of suffering, Milo gives in, reasoning that since Dany isn't in this universe, his false confession won't harm his friend. However, as soon as he accuses Dany, Milo Milo is brought to court, only to discover that Dany has also been imprisoned in the same jail for the past month. Dany, too, had been sent to this universe by their alternate versions after escaping the World War universe. The shocking truth is revealed. The Milo and Dany who caused the destruction of this universe were not the real Milo and Dany, but their alternate versions from this very universe. 6 years ago, this universe's Milo and Dany broke into Steven's lab, stole his multiverse traveling device, and began recklessly traveling between universes. Unbeknownst to them, each jump weakened their home universe. Their continued travel destabilized their reality and left it teetering on the brink of collapse. When the people of this universe learned the truth, they sought justice against Milo and Dany. To save themselves, the alternate Milo and Dany from this universe deliberately sent the real Milo and Dany into their collapsing world to take their place and face punishment. In court, Milo and Dany finally see each other after a month apart. Outside, a furious mob demands their execution, blaming them for the destruction of their universe. The court explains that this universe was the first to develop a device capable of multiverse travel, and because of the reckless actions of their counterparts, the entire multiverse is now under threat. The judge sentences both Milo and Dany to death, to be carried out the following day, leaving them no chance to defend themselves. As they process their fate, Milo and Dany begin to understand the bigger picture. The Steven who has been hunting them across the multiverse was not evil, but driven by a desperate mission to prevent the destruction of the multiverse. He had been targeting every version of Milo and Dany, hoping to stop them from causing the same collapse in other universes. Kate from this universe visits Milo and Dany in jail. Though skeptical at first, they plead with her, insisting they aren't the Milo and Dany of this world. They beg her to convince the people of their innocence before their execution the next day. Initially, Kate struggles to believe them, but Dany persuades her by recounting details only an outsider could know. Kate reluctantly agrees to help, but warns them that no one else will believe their story. She promises to attend their execution, suspecting that the real Milo and Dany of this universe might come to witness the event. If they do, it will be the only chance to expose the truth and catch them in front of everyone. Kate cautions, however, that the plan is risky. If the real Milo and Dany don't show up, the execution will proceed. The next day, Milo and Dany are escorted to the gallows, surrounded by a crowd filled with hatred. As they are prepared for hanging, the two desperately scan the crowd for their counterparts, but they are nowhere to be seen. With each passing moment, their hope fades, and they begin to fear that Kate's plan has failed. Just as the nooses tighten around their necks, they spot their counterparts, the real Milo and Dany of this universe, standing smugly in the distance, confident their plan to escape punishment has succeeded. As the execution begins, Kate suddenly shouts, pointing out the real culprits in the crowd. Her cries draw everyone's attention, and the mob quickly recognizes the alternate Milo and Dany. Chaos erupts as the crowd turns on them, furious at being deceived. Amid the confusion, Kate cuts the ropes with a sword, freeing Milo and Dany just in time. The two barely manage to regain their footing before the mob and their counterparts start chasing them. The real Milo and Dany of this universe, realizing their plan has unraveled, are determined to capture the device and escape. In the chaos, Dany activates the device, opening a portal. Both the real and alternate Milo and Dany are pulled into the portal before it closes behind them. They all land in a ruined, desolate universe where Earth has been reduced to rubble. The real Milo and Dany flee into a nearby cave, desperate to escape their pursuers. Inside, they discover the cave is a hidden base belonging to their alternate counterparts. The alternate Milo and Dany, furious that their carefully laid plan has failed, capture and tie up the real Milo and Dany. Enraged, the alternate versions mock them, blaming them for ruining everything. They reveal how they manipulated events, sending the real Milo and Dany to their doomed universe to take their place, only for everything to fall apart. The alternates, skilled fighters and ruthless strategists, vow to torture Milo and Dany for their perceived betrayal and the destruction of their plans. As Dany struggles to free himself, he stumbles upon a shocking discovery: several versions of Kate tied up in the cave. He quickly realizes that these Kates are from the various universes he and Milo had visited during their multiverse journey. It becomes clear that the alternate version of Dany had captured all of them, tormenting them as part of his twisted obsession. Determined to set things right, Dany begins untying one of the Kates when his evil counterpart arrives. The alternate Dany smirks and mockingly remarks that Dany has discovered his collection. He admits that, like the real Dany, he has always been drawn to Kate in every universe. However, instead of cherishing her, he chose to dominate and manipulate, capturing versions of her wherever he went. When Dany confronts him, trying Trying to attack, the evil Dany easily overpowers him once more and drags him back to Milo, tying him up again. Unbeknownst to him, Dany had already managed to free one of the Kates. As they regroup, Kate from the evil Dany's universe arrives, demanding answers. She accuses Dany of abandoning her for the multiverse, claiming that she loved him and would have followed him anywhere. She offers Dany a deal: leave Milo behind and travel with her across the multiverse, promising a life of adventure and love. To everyone's shock, the evil Dany, driven by jealousy and rage, kills his own Milo, believing that by eliminating his partner, he can prove his love to Kate and secure her loyalty. The cave falls silent as everyone processes what just happened, but it quickly becomes clear that Kate had only pretended to offer herself to evil Dany to create a rift between him and his partner. As the real Dany confronts the evil one, their fight turns vicious. Evil Dany gains the upper hand, pinning his counterpart down and vowing to kill him if Kate won't accept him. However, before he can strike, the freed Kates band together and launch a coordinated attack. They overpower evil Dany, delivering the final blow and ending his reign of terror. With the threat neutralized, Kate from the evil Dany's universe takes charge. She retrieves the multiverse traveling device and promises to take the real Dany and Milo back to their own universe. She explains that their journey through the multiverse must end, as the dangers are far too great. Once they are safely home, she plans to return to her universe and destroy the device forever. As they prepare to part ways, Dany has a heartfelt conversation with this version of Kate. He acknowledges their past intimacy, but reminds her that he is married to his own universe's Kate. Despite her feelings, she agrees that it's best for them to separate and move on. She bids him a bittersweet goodbye, stepping into a portal and leaving their lives for good. Finally, Dany and Milo return to their real universe. After their chaotic journey through countless worlds, they find comfort in the familiarity of their own lives. Though they had seen versions of themselves with incredible wealth, fame, and power, like Milo, the superstar, they realize that their value lies in being unique. They vow to rebuild their lives, relying on their own hard work rather than longing for what might have been in another reality. With the multiverse behind them, Dany and Milo embrace their normal lives, grateful for the second chance. The series concludes with a reflection on the multiverse's boundless possibilities and dangers. The narrator hints that the perils of the multiverse might extend far beyond what they faced, leaving viewers to wonder what other adventures or threats lie hidden in the infinite realities. As the credits roll, the audience is invited to continue exploring the mysteries of the multiverse. We urge you to watch the next video for even more theories and adventures, while asking for feedback in the comments. How did you like this series? Let us know below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories of the multiverse and beyond. Thank you for watching.